Have you ever seen mysterious orbs come out of the ocean all over the world? No, that's nothing compared to what is about to happen. Even though it's the year of the Great Awakening and the Age of Ascension, it's also the year of the Great Collapse, because things have to break down for us to have that breakthrough, and all the signs are pointing that way. We started going through a once-in-a-lifetime rare planetary alignment. No one, dead or alive, has experienced this. And then we have the end of the Kali Yuga. That's a rebirth. That is the era of consciousness. And so everything that's overlapping that has to do with these cosmological cycles, these astrological cycles, these geophysical cycles, they're all happening at this convergence point. I don't think anyone's ever talked about this, but I was raised Southern Baptist, like Korean Southern Baptist, so really had a big impact on how I saw things. And it wasn't really until I actually went to college where I realized, that wasn't for me anyway. But I'm in college where the visions really kicked in. And I was in college though, so I was having fun with it. And I didn't really talk about this. There was a moment where the visions were just getting so strong, I had no choice. And I was telling my roommates, like, I just saw your past. I just saw, and very visual, like a movie, down to what they were wearing and the circumstances that happened. Things that they like, I couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. And I have receipts. These are people who I lived with or was friends with. And so something happened when I was in college where I wasn't even into spirituality. It was just in me. And there was one night I remember, and I just call it the voice. And I heard the voice. And in the moment, it was really beautiful. It was very transcendent. And it was a voice that wasn't even speaking English, right? But I like knew what it was saying. But the very next morning, I freaked out. I'm like, I can't tell anybody this. People are going to think I'm crazy. There's absolutely no way. So I kind of just shut it down. Like, I shut it out for a little bit. And then, I moved to New York City, and I couldn't really shut it off. And so I just had fun with it. I'm just going to keep it that way. Like, and when I say I had fun with it, I would, let's say, like, go on a date, and I would just tell them, I'd see things and I'd tell them, and it'd freak them out. And again, I wasn't really into spirituality. I just had these things, and it was really fun. Didn't really do anything with it. I started giving psychic readings I didn't charge, just for friends. And there was a moment that, let's say there was a reading. Okay, so I had a reading with a friend of a friend who knew about me, and she asked me a question, and I gave her response, and maybe I didn't say it in the right way, but I saw something happen in her life that not even her mother knew. And her reaction, I felt, and it was over the phone, I felt it go through my body. And that's when I realized, this is not for me. I cannot do this. This is not my calling. I'm not, just having fun with this, whatever. And then through the whole process, yeah, you can shut it off. It's going to come out other ways. And so I had over 100 ghost experiences. I would wake up with someone sleeping next to me in bed. As soon as I see them, they're, disappear. Nothing terrible. Yes, there were some terrible moments. I did have a lot of sleep paralysis, and eventually it got to a point where I had to reach out to experts and say, what is going on with me? So I remember I was a reporter too for about 15 years. Okay. And so I remember I was actually in Sedona doing a really big story in Sedona, and the tourism board wanted me to meet with the president of I think it was like the Metaphysical Society or Association or something like that. And I remember sitting there with him face to face, chair to chair. And he said, I'm just going to do a little meditation with you. I'm like, okay, great. And within 1 minute, and all we're doing is gazing. That's all we're doing. There's nothing in the room, right? It's just chair to chair. There's walls, maybe like a cork board. he said, "You are incredibly psychic." And I just looked at him straight that. I was like, "I know." And during that time, in the 20 minutes, everything we and this is and it's still this is why it's still like it's so new to me to like we were just talking beforehand. I just told you like I like came out last year on my channel as someone who is psychic, as someone who is clairvoyant. So it's still new to me to talk about these things. But when I say like we enter different dimensions, it's just still a little strange for me to hear myself say that. But I have had a lot of strange experiences that also showed me that this is not it. And it was through loss and it was through, people very close to me passing on. And those are longer stories. But being in contact with them through energy, we'll call it. And so it was during COVID that I actually had a really big awakening and things started coming things were flooding back in a really big way. And I was just like, I have this gift. I know astrology. I know tarot. I started this channel. I'm like, if I have this gift, I should use it. I should use it and help people because of the life experiences I've had that really shape who I am now. Because the root of my channel is, yeah, I do readings for every sign, all 12 signs every week. I do astrology and tarot, channeling. I throw in hermetic principles. I throw in ancient wisdom, law of one, all of that, all of that. And so it's really exciting for me to do these readings because I'm really passionate about all of this. And I think that my subscribers see that translated. I'm actually doing this because I really care about uplifting people and inspiring people and empowering people. And so that's what brought me to my channel. And then it was last year where when I came out as a psychic channeler, whatever it is, the reason why I did is because I knew what was coming in 2025. And I knew that the messages I had to get across, it was just more than these weekly readings for all 12 signs. And so that's what brought me to where I'm at now. And it's gotten to a point where, I will make predictions and they'll literally happen the next day. And it's kind of bonkers because there's so many different ways that you can give predictions, and I do have to hold back on some of them because I know I'm hearing the message, I'm getting the message, but are my subscribers or the public ready for that information? No. And so sometimes I do have to hold back. And sometimes some of the predictions I have to make vague, right? I have to kind of like Nostradamus is very vague. I mean, he did it for a different reason, but it's because I don't when people are searching for predictions or what's going to happen 2025, what's going to happen, 2026 with the, all the political stuff and the geophysical stuff and everything that's happening, a lot of it is because they're afraid. And that's not what I want to do. I want to inspire people, empower people, but also help them expand their consciousness, which is a big theme for 2025. So that's where I'm at, and I did have one new thing happen to me. Actually, that was really interesting. Is that while I was meditating, I was contacted by someone from somewhere else. And again, for me to say that, it's still so, because I am new to this. And, I think I was just telling you before we got on that I I don't really know that world that well. The spiritual leaders and channelers and whatnot. And I just learned about Bashar a year ago. I mean, that's how backed up I am. I love it. He's great. He's great. But it's a whole new world for me. But it's great for me to be able to bring these messages across. And I think that but I have to do it in a way where it's not fear mongering, because there's enough of that, and it's just not what I stand for. And everything is energy. Everything is energy. Everything is frequency. Everything is vibration. I repeat that 12 times a year and all 12 signs, because some things bear repeating, and you people got to be reminded, and that's just the best way when you're vibrating at this high frequency. And when we talk about high frequency, when people say that, right? When they're saying like raise your energy, raise your frequency, everything's made of energy. We're talking about love, superconscious love, gratitude, kindness, compassion. There's just so, I mean, there could be more these days. There could be more, but with so much division and so much finger pointing and so much fear mongering and fear clickbait and all of that, it's just, we're moving in the wrong direction if we move that way. And that's why if I can get people to vibrate at a higher frequency of everything that I just mentioned, it's infectious, it's contagious, people feel that, it's energy, it's energy. And so that is my job. So I can use astrology, I can use tarot, I can do channeling, but at the core of any message that I put out there, it is to inspire and to empower and for people to vibrate at a high frequency and help them understand what energy is and know that this is a year of consciousness. And that's something that I always try to remind people: go do something different. Go shake things up, expand your consciousness, because we're going to be at a time where you're going to see a lot of things that you've never seen in your lifetime. And you already have. We already have. From January 2025 forward, we've seen so many things we've never seen. Have you ever lived through a tariff war? No. Have you ever seen mysterious orbs come out of the ocean all over the world? No. That's nothing. That's nothing compared to what is about to happen. Nothing. But that's why this is great, because we're in this place where things are changing. Listen, that you can, a 10-year-old kid on the block can tell you that. We can see it. There's changes that are happening. And I do have to say that, whether it's channeling, whether it's through astrology, whether it's even through tarot, whatever it is, right? Or even the cycles, right? We're currently going through 12 different cycles right now. The end of 12 cycles, the beginning of 12 new ones. And I don't think anyone's ever talked about this. So I'm happy to talk about this, but
please,
this is all expanding your consciousness. You're going to see things you've never seen, experience things you've never experienced, but it's your consciousness is going to expand. And when we do that, we have a lot more capacity to reach 4D, to vibrate at this new frequency, this new timeline, this new energy that we're all excited for. But in order to get there, we're going to have to break some things down to have that breakthrough. That's how everything works, okay? And when I say things that we have never experienced, you have to, everyone has to understand, we know 5% of our oceans, right? We know 5% of our observable universe, 5% of what's inside the earth, right? 10% of our brains. There's a lot out there. Those numbers are going to kick up this year. We're going to know 7, 8, 9, 10%. And that's what I'm saying, because we have the tendency to reject the unfamiliar, right? A tendency to fear the unfamiliar. But if we can start expanding our consciousness now, cakewalk. It's a cakewalk. You're like, oh, UFO? Okay, cool, great. Like, we've been waiting for you. Instead of people like, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, yeah, you mentioned that actually when you got into all of this and started like putting your channel together, you had the year 2025 in mind. I mean, this episode will be coming out late May 2025. You've said this period brings the biggest paradigm shift of an entire century astrologically. I mean, you've got predictions you want to share as well. What's happening right now that makes you say this year of consciousness, the biggest paradigm shift of a century, you committing yourself to sharing yourself so abundantly for this particular year at this moment in time? Bring us into your world.
Absolutely. Yeah, 1000%. Okay, so here's the thing, Amrit. All right. There's if you want to look at it from an astrological perspective, yes, there's a lot of things changing, right? So what's really happening is we started going through a once in a lifetime rare planetary alignment. It was all over that 0 degree point in, between Pisces and Aries, right? That started, let's just say mid-March, okay? And so I call that a big wave. That was a big wave that kind of just kicked things off. And so we're at the end of that wave, moving into this great new era. Now, what's happening this year? Well, we got all planets changing signs. Not normal. Yeah? You take out the personal planets, which is like the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus. You've got all the outer planets changing signs in such a compact, compressed period of time that has not ever happened in forever in modern human history. But you throw in Jupiter too, that's 5 planets. So those are big cycles. So nobody on Earth has experienced this, okay? We can make the argument no one, dead or alive, in modern human history has experienced this, all right? It's been a really long time since Saturn and Neptune have been together in Aries, right? That's been over, 300 years. We haven't had Pluto in Aquarius in 250 years. We haven't had Uranus in Gemini in 84 years. So these are big cycles, right? But they're all happening at this convergence point.
Hey there, Inspired Souls. I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you that are subscribed to this podcast. Everything you see around here is powered and empowered by your subscription to this channel. Thank you so much for your love and your support. And to all of you that haven't yet subscribed, please do take a moment. As I'm saying the word subscribe, the button below is lighting up in the colors of the Inspired Evolution. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon. Episodes like this coming out twice a week to support you and champion love, light, and wisdom together. Join the movement, subscribe below. Thank you so much in advance for doing so.
You really, really have to go way, 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 way back to see it just like the chances of them happening all right now is very rare. But the big thing is, what did I say earlier, was that 0 degree Aries point. So that's what we call the creator degree, or you can call it the world axis. It's basically new beginnings, right? The 0 degree of Aries, which is the beginning of the beginning. Astrology wouldn't even exist without Aries. It's the first sign. So we're everything's moving past that. And Saturn Neptune, they're going to have a conjunction in Aries in February 2026, which we're calling like the Great Reset. there's changes that's moving up to 2026. But in the meantime, Saturn and Neptune are going to be together. They're going to be, I say they're in the same room. They're on the dance floor, right? At a house party. They haven't met. Yeah, they're dancing to Madonna. They're back to back. They're feeling the same vibes. All of that. They're going to meet February 2026. And when that happens, you can't trace that back in modern human history. It probably happened maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years ago. Who knows? I don't have the time to look, right? I had enough time to look back to just see, did any of this happen in modern human history? Nope. Oh, okay, great. Now, this is happening also at the same time that we're at solar peak maximum. If you want to throw in these cycles, right? So that's an 11-year cycle. So we're here. You've seen what's been happening with the solar flares, making headline news, power outages, power grids. Even when, here's the thing, when this happens, when you see the aurora borealis, right, the northern lights, in places like Florida, in places where, maybe some glossy magazines like, go look at, it's actually not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's showing our magnetic field is weakening. It's weakening really. So that's another thing. And we're still going to go through that. We're still going to be through peak maximum. And then there's a 12,000 year cycle that we're kind of going through. And I'm not going to bring that up because someone else probably already did on your channel. But yeah, it does have something to do with pole shifts, right? And then we have the Kali Yuga. I'm sure people on your channel have talked about that. That's more Vedic, and that's, the four yugas. We're at the end of the Kali Yuga. That's a rebirth. That's spirit of consciousness. That is the era of consciousness. And so everything that's overlapping that has to do with these cosmological cycles, these astrological cycles, these geophysical cycles, they're all happening right now. You want to throw in the fourth turning? That's happening right now too. You can throw in so many things. We are literally leaving the age of Pisces as I speak, moving into the age of Aquarius. That's another cycle. And we go through every age in the zodiac is 2,160 years long. Yeah. And so we're moving into a brand new age of Aquarius. We're on the brink of it. Some astrologers will tell you that we're in it now. Some will say it's maybe 100 years, 200 years. I actually know the date or, the time frame. And, maybe I'll tell you later, but this is, and we're near it. We're near it. Okay. So that is also another thing because there's something called the precession of the equinox. Every 25,920 years. And so if you add up all those ages, right, that's 25,960. And that's what we call the great year. And there is, the Earth wobbles on its axis, right? So that's another cycle that we're in the middle of right now. We're in the year of the snake, right? When you think of other, right? There's so many other things. I'm really into numerology. 9, right? We're in the year of 9. 2 + 2 + 5 = 9. And that is what I say is preparing for 10. 9 is, here's the thing. 9 is, it's not a fun number, right? If we're going with Pythagoras, right? It's not super fun. But 9 is completion, it's fulfillment, it's the last single digit, right? So that's why it's preparing for 10. So it's not fully complete. Not fully complete. You're preparing. You're in the middle of this ending and this new beginning. And when I say it's not fun, sure, it's more of a home stretch. But it's also how you make it. Yeah, it's how you make it. There's a 9 of Cups. That's wish fulfillment. We talk about cloud 9. There's a reason why a cat has 9 lives. So it's not, I don't want to, make people think 9 is like, but we are here. And 9 is the highest vibration that you can achieve in physical reality. So this is why we talk about the 3D world and the Earth splitting and all of that. But that's another conversation. And then 4D, by the way, it refers to the fourth dimension of consciousness, right? If people don't know that, that is, we have it's just time. Just throw in time to 3D. And so the other thing is like all the astrological aspects that I just mentioned. Those are all big. And, I say that it started in mid-March. You're going to see it play out throughout this year. All the outer planets, come on, that is a big thing. That's a really big thing. And so they all have archetypes and the signs that they're going into. And again, I'm not going to, it's just, there's got to be changes. A lot of this Aries energy with Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries, Sirius, which is an asteroid, moving into Aries. It's what we call like spiritual warrior archetype, visionary leader, all of that, right? So the hero archetype. And so it's great. That's great. That's really nice. But you have to think about Neptune, which is compassion. And it is visionary, but it can be delusional. So there are lower expressions for these archetypes and placements and transits and aspects. So there can be some delusional leaders. And, in my readings, I've mentioned that, Gandhi, great example. Someone who had Neptune in Aries. He was born with Neptune in Aries. Visionary leader. It's all about the greater good, doing something greater than himself, right? But Julius Caesar also had Neptune in Aries. And so it's all about energy. It's how you direct that energy. And then Pluto moving into Aquarius, first time in 250 years, that's big. That's revolution. Look at where we're going. It's not just revolution, it's the visionary, right? That Aquarius energy, okay? And so that's a 19-year, let's call it a process. And when Pluto left Capricorn, he left us a little gift. He broke some things down in terms of corporations, government. People saw corruption coming out because remember, Pluto moved into Aquarius just in November, very recent. So that's why we consider it new, because it's there for 19 years. Yeah, 19 years. So it is it's kind of a big deal with Pluto moving into Aquarius, because you can trace that back. The last time Pluto, if you go 250 years back, what was that? That was the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It was the American Revolution, okay? It was the French Revolution. There was a lot of other things that were happening around that time, but the one thing that one thing that a lot of people people will refer to that. Like there may be some astrologers that refer to that. There is something that is really interesting about this, because if you go 250 years before that, because that's its orbit, right? Pluto, it takes so long. And Pluto is the underworld, death and rebirth. It's very psychological, very forensic, but just transformation, revolution. Those are the biggest thing. All about the people. Aquarius is humanity. So when Pluto goes there, it's power to the people, right? So think about those revolutions. It was for the people. And it's all about freedom as well. But if you go 250 years before that, that was when Copernicus, right? That was 1543. He stood up and said, hey, y'all, I really don't think that Earth is the center of the universe. That was a bold statement to make back then, okay? And he did publish his heliocentric theory. That was Pluto in Aquarius, okay? He influenced how we saw the world. That's paradigm shifting on a whole other how we see the world literally, right? Literally. And it was so revolutionary at the time. There was Andreas Vesalius, who we call the founder of modern human anatomy. Yep, he published his book that you'll find in any any doctor school or med school. It actually came out the same year, believe it or not, 1543. But you had Henry VIII breaking away from the Catholic Church. You had this was honestly like the beginning of the scientific revolution. So revolution, the constant theme when Pluto is in Aquarius. But there was a peasants' revolt, but all for the greater good. It was all about the people. It became all about the people. And so we're about to go through that right now. And so that's something that I like to I do live streams twice a month. And I love the community that I built with on my channel, and it's really great. It's seeing a lot of people that have been with me for years. And we talk about these things, and I'm an empath. I can pick up their energies even before they, type questions or whatnot. But a lot of it is based, out of fear of like what's happening with the government, with the world, with this and that and that. I'm like, you got to trust in the process. You got to trust in the universe. And here's the thing. If you're vibrating at a high frequency, it's going to be water off a duck's back. It's not even, you're going to see that things were meant to happen for a reason. How do you know that there's not this pot of gold and a rainbow and, Toyota Camry at the other end of all of this craziness that we're going through? Anyway, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, there's got to be changes. AI is the biggest thing. Pluto to Aquarius is all about AI. And that's something that a lot of people, again, so new. Remember what I said, people tend to reject the unfamiliar or have fear about the unfamiliar. It's all about regulation. And we have to trust that there are going to be some things that have to change in order for us to have this greater change.
Hi there, guys. I wanted to take a quick moment just to introduce you to my one-to-one coaching. It's something that I deeply love doing. As you can tell, conscious conversation is such a massive part of my life. And having one-to-one, deep, meaningful conversations with people where I get to show up as your brother or as the coach or as your mentor has been such a gift for me personally, and a gift for lots of the people that I have supported on the journey of living a more spiritually empowered, spiritually powered, spiritually aligned life. You don't have to take my word for it. Here's some examples of people all around the world that have experienced profound transformations through this coaching experience.
Amrit is a fantastic coach.
In a few sessions, he got to a depth that I'd only experienced before working with certain medicines. And
he's gone through a lot of the struggles that you're probably facing. And Amrit's been a really strong, supportive figure in my journey.
In control of myself.
I'm kinder to myself.
I actually have that vision and a purpose.
I do feel like I'm a better version of myself already.
Amazing energy.
He was easy to talk to, which made me easy to trust him.
Working with Amrit at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and really I was bouncing out of bed.
Whenever I get off the calls with Amrit, best money we've ever spent.
I would not recommend him because I don't want everyone to know about him, and then I won't be able to book him. If he gets too busy, I won't get my turn.
I would say absolutely.
There's no way you can work with Amrit for a period of time without being transformed.
So if you're considering him as a coach, do not hesitate, because you won't be disappointed.
Alrighty, so hopefully that's inspiring your evolution onwards and upwards. And if you are so inspired to evolve, you can book in a one-to-one call with me directly at www.amrit.coach/life. And guys, if I can say so myself, I do think this is something quite special. Most people that I see building things online don't really work with people this deeply, this intimately, one-on-one as things start to grow, just because it is so time intensive. And yet I'm so deeply passionate about the transformation that comes from one-to-one coaching that just isn't available anywhere else. It would be my absolute honor and a pleasure to support your spiritual awakening, your spiritual path, your spiritual unfoldment. It is my life's work. I look forward to seeing you in the call. Back to today's podcast. What do you see? So that's kind of where we've been and sort of the changes that are happening. But can we ground into some of the real things that you see, like predictions wise, that you do see actually coming up? Like you said, 2026, potentially we finally get a bit of a grapple hold is kind of how I interpreted that. Feb 2026. What do you see happening? Maybe, like for us going forward.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I do channeling. So I want to explain. I don't even know if I'm so new to this. I don't even know if I'm using that correctly. I know there's such a stigma with the word like psychic or clairvoyant. So I've watched other channelers. I don't know if I'm like that. I don't know, because I actually give dates. I give predictions. But so I write them all down I've got my notebooks and they're all full. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I started, like I said, last August, and I started making predictions last August, just again to let people be aware of the fact that there are some things. Just let's start, expanding our consciousness, right? A lot of the reasons why is because, again, I knew that I had to just get people to get comfortable knowing that there were going to be big changes. And I say 2025 is the year of 4 C's. It's collective, it's community, the collective, right? Community, it's consciousness, and it's courage. Okay. And so those are the big takeaways. And a lot of people are calling 2025 the age of ascension, the great awakening. I call it the age of wisdom. It's becoming wiser, right? It's what is wise, right? It's making a judgment, right? It's the owl, right? The wise owl. And the owl has come up a lot in visions. And so one thing that I just want to explain how I do this, it's a little bit more like Edward Casey, okay? Rather than anything else. I go into deep trances, and that's where I start seeing the visions. I also have clairaudience, and that will happen when I'm walking down the street or whatever, right? It just happens. And so it doesn't always happen when I'm in the sea trance, but that's when I get those deep, deep, deep messages. And they're all on my live streams. A lot of the things. So even back August, I talked about there's going to be really big changes with the economy, especially with the US. Get ready. I saw dollars burning, but I saw other things. That's the one thing that I put out there. And you can go back to my predictions. And this is just because there are still some skeptics out there about this. And that's why I'm saying I've got receipts. You can go to any of my live streams where I talked about, there's going to be tampering with the underwater cables. I talked about the discovery of new species in Antarctica. I talked about the orbs coming out of the sea. I talked about, even back in August, about the solar activity that, was coming for 2025. And sure, you could see that in science books or whatnot, but still, I felt them. And there's a lot of things, right? Earthquakes, a lot of earthquakes, California, Juneau. Like, I can do remote viewing. I can see places. I get dates. I get a lot of the cargo vessel, the ship, the oil tanker. So it's all there. It's all there. Even like things that you can't. And that's the other thing is like, because I do astrology, a lot of people could say like, oh, that's astrology. Well, no, it's like my visions just happen to align with astrology, proving astrology is real. But there's things like, me making the prediction that the CEO of TD Bank is going to make a big announcement and confession about the big scandal. Astrology can't, you got to really, really, really look. Anyway, so I talked about a lot of things that you can look up. And again, I do have to make some things vague, but the receipts are there. All right. I think that even there are some things like there was someone in a band that unfortunately passed away, a famous person. It was like One Direction or whatever. So that's there. I mentioned that was in October. There was going to be a big, celebrity celebration of life. Okay, that's what I call it. And so that's how I do it. So I just want people to know that's that. And so I write them down in this book. I take a lot of notes. Sometimes I can't even read my own handwriting, but again, there's a lot of things that have come up, and there are some things that I have said recently. And the second thing I have to say is that every time, and I've been getting out of the habit of this, every time I do predictions, I should say in this timeline, because timelines do switch. And a good example of that is for the US presidency last year, I saw who won. But a month later, it changed. I was like, oh, that's weird. And so the timelines changed. And I was like, okay. And so I just did like a little tarot reading. I was like, oh, okay, this is happening. This is happening. I was like, okay, well, we got to roll with that. And so in this current timeline, and I also get like coordinates. You can see I got numbers here. It's just like sometimes I don't even. Anyway, all right. So one thing that I do is I take photos of my pages just to make sure, because they're going to be time stamped, and you can run them through AI or whatever it is to confirm. But yeah, so I did see more underwater activity, and the way that I can only explain it is like a black hole underwater. That's the only way that I can explain it. I'm not saying that's what it is. Only way I can explain it. Okay. I got the message. We are running out of time. I saw really big explosions. I saw lava. Missiles, which is weird. That was surprising to me. As well as I wrote down a couple countries. I wrote down, and this, by the way, Well, the things that I'm telling you now, just so people know, was April 19th, okay? And so I did write down Indonesia, China, Turkey, Russia, Hawaii. And then I question mark with Jordan because sometimes what I do is if there's a frequency that some I'm very confident with, like I will feel it. Okay, that's a 10 out of 10. But sometimes I'll feel it like it's like 5 or 6. I'm like, that timeline might shift or it might not. A good example is the whole thing that happened in Springfield here in the US. I don't know if you remember that with the people eating the and like the dogs or whatever. Do you remember that? Yeah, I don't know. It was a thing. But I saw that, but I wasn't sure it wasn't a high vibration for me. Anyway, I wrote down Tunisia, and then I did feel more like quakes. Yeah, big ones. I wrote down housing collapse 8/5/8/19. I couldn't really, but it was maybe even between those dates. And then a bunch of numbers that I don't even know at this point. A lot of threes. One thing that I did talk about was a tsunami that I was very confident that really big is definitely going to happen. I wrote down a lot of Asian countries like Japan, Korea, and then I wrote down something. I wrote down August 19th. I can't read my handwriting. But, okay, so now we're in April 22nd. Okay, so I did see, well, let's call it a UAP. It was blue, it was shiny, metallic. I couldn't tell if it was like a stinger on it. And then I did see oh yeah there's going to be a world leader who's going to go through a big health issue, and there may be another thing with like okay, like a celebration of life. Here's the other thing: a lot of things that I see aren't even public facing, okay, and they may come out eventually. And maybe I will mention those names. Those are in another notebook, like an older one. But there is going to be a world. Yeah, everybody knows this person. Everybody knows this person. Like, okay. So I did see I wrote down, I thought it was Japan. I don't know if it's a prime minister or a president. I saw them doing like a press conference for a big event. Juneau, Alaska. I've brought up Juneau, Alaska before. They did have the mudslide. So the day that I made that prediction, I think it was back in August or September. It was the day after they had the big, mudslides for the first time. Missouri and Michigan, they keep coming up. I don't know why. I see them, and I brought these two states up last year. I also saw, and I wrote down calm before the storm, FYI. And there was a quote that was trying to come through from Teddy Roosevelt. I couldn't really make it out. There was something that is known as something understood for something. So the other thing is coastline, big event, coastline. And then Israel. And then California, I brought up a lot of times, okay? And I still feel something's still feel a vibration there. Now, I also wrote down a couple cities. And again, I'm not sure if I'm getting these right. Roseland Park, Oakland, or Oakland Tree, something like that. That is definitely going to, there's something there. And then something with the Pleiades, Taurus constellation came through. I would assume that's Algol, 84 years, right? And then there was, so the person that I saw, that everybody knows, saw all these medical devices around this person, and I didn't recognize them. Like, I didn't know. They're like, by the way, there's a lot of things that exist here on Earth, and your subscribers are savvy. They're smart. They get it. And like, we don't even have to remind people that, let's say, I don't know, the military had the internet for 20 years before making it public, right? So there are a lot of things that exist here in our world that the public has no idea, and I've seen them, but these devices I have not recognized, and that's how critical I think this situation may be with this world leader. And but I don't think I think this is going to be a health issue, because I saw them like pointing and laughing and pointing after, and there's just a lot. I mean, I can keep going and going, but there's just a lot. Oh, one last thing I'll tell you. Okay. There was something in the sky, and it was like this puff of black smoke going in a square box. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. But the reason that I am bringing that up is because I, for the very first time in my entire life, was, other than that voice that I heard, okay, talking to me back in college, was out of nowhere, I was contacted by someone. And while I was channeling, and I usually have my guides, I have the people that I go to, right? Someone came through, and turned out, I did a whole live stream on this because I was so excited. It's never happened before in this way. Someone from Proxima Centauri B. Yeah? And one of the things, and it was a lot, brought up the year 525 BC. And so I had to Google a lot of this stuff because I'm like, I don't know. And so showed me like these egg-shaped homes, all of that. One of the things in 525 BCs is when Venus was basically passing Antares, and that may be a big thing, a clue into, because we're talking about the Taurus constellation, okay? So where Algol is right now, or, is. And then I wrote down Battle of Pelusium, or Persian conquest of Egypt. But one of the reasons why I bring that up is because he kept pointing to these 3 squares. And I even asked my subscribers, I'm like, I need y'all to help me with this. He kept pointing, or showing me these 3 squares. And I didn't know what they were. And they were just like these triangle square things. And I had no idea, but it was around the time that the pyramids, there was that announcement with the pyramids, what was underneath, or you know that story. So I have no idea. And so that's why when I was doing that channeling and I saw that black smoke in that square in the sky, I'm like, I wonder if that has anything to do with it. He did give me some dates, and he did, this was back in early March when I did this channeling session. And again, it's on my channel, but he did give me the date of March 17th. And that's very interesting because that's when there was, the country that broke its, ceasefire. It's when the JFK files were released. There was a lot that happened on March 17th, but he did give me, January 6th, 2026. So that's a day that we might want to, pay attention to, right? He also gave me a full year, which was 2032. And again, just a lot of stuff here. That bird chromosome, the DNA with bird, with man, with bird. And I tried to look into that, and I was like, I don't even know what that means. I have no idea. And so one thing that I was doing is that when I do a lot of channeling sessions, a lot of animals come up, and like coyote has been coming up a lot. And so, and like Native American culture, the coyote usually represented like deception and dishonesty and thievery and whatnot. And you see that going on, right, on a public scale. There's a lot of things not being told to the public, but it's also the creation myth is the coyote, and that's another just like, oh wow, we're really going through a new world. It's happening. It's happening. But this whole bird chromosome thing, and I wrote it down. I'm not going to be able to find. I'm all over the place, so I don't know if I'm going to find it. But yeah, there's something that I wrote down where I was like, that makes sense and that matches what I saw. But there was something here with a bird man from something, and I'm not going to be able to find it. So we can move on from that. But yeah, there's a lot that came through. But there's a lot of things that I saw too.
Hey there guys, as you can tell, Jimmy's talking a lot about community and it being medicine for us at this particular time. That's what we made it incumbent upon us to create a community space for the Inspired Evolutionaries, yourselves, myself, together online. You can find that at inspiredevolution.com/circle. That's inspiredevolution.com/circle. I put a link below for you to check it out if you feel called.
Oh, and there was Proxima Centauri b, which I had to Google, is the planet that it's, and I wrote this down, and again, I won't be able to find the notes, but it is that one planet where everyone's freaking out years ago, where apparently NASA found all this artificial light, and then they took it back, right? And they're like, no, we didn't. I'm like, okay, well, hi, yeah, it's a thing. People are there. People are there. So, and that's the other thing with NASA. That's what I'm saying is that as part of this consciousness expanding and people seeing and experiencing and hearing things that they never have, it's gonna be a lot of things that we were told that are not true. And it is, people are going to be really, really upset. And so that's why I'm trying to help people understand, like, let's just expand our consciousness and stay at that high frequency state of everything that I mentioned earlier, okay? And we have to understand that we can't live in fear. We can't be stuck in that energy. We don't want to be stuck in that energy, right? That life, and this is why I say all the time, life is a miracle. Treat life as a miracle. Literally, we have the perfect conditions to make all this happen. You and me talking. We have the perfect conditions for this earth, for us to breathe, to be alive. How is that even possible? So life is a miracle. Make the most of it. Why would you want to leave? Why would you want to live your life in fear and like doubt and self-doubt? And being in that low energy frequency, it's going to be harder to attract the things that you want. It's going to be really hard. And so that's why I do what I do, because I want to help people. I want to inspire people. And, it is really, really nice because I do tarot. So I'm the only person on YouTube that merges current astrological aspects with tarot. So, I mean, as far as I know, right? And I checked because I was at a point where I wanted to bring guests onto my shows. I was like, I want to find people like me. I can't find anyone. So they're, tarot readers. I haven't found any that, do astrology. I haven't found, astrologers that do tarot readings, but also at the same time, I haven't found an astrologer that does channeling or psychic predictions. And so that's why I was like, I really want to make sure that my message that I get across is only to inspire and to empower people. If there are bad cards, we'll talk about it, but I'll tell you how to get through it. I'll tell you how to do all that. That's the driving force, the driving message of my channel. Tarot and astrology, they're just tools. They're just tools. I teach you how to trust your intuition. I bring in science. I talk about your heart having an electromagnetic field. I talk about visualization and how it's literal neuroscience that visualization creates new neural pathways in your brain. I talk about your gut, trust your gut. Why do we say trust your gut? It's your second brain. That everything's here in the gut. And so it's vibrating at a high frequency, but also recognizing it because we're all made of energy. And that's the other thing. Everything is made of energy, and that's not just spirituality or manifestation or hermetic principles or law of attraction. That is literal science. That is Albert Einstein saying, match the frequency of the reality you want, and you can't help but get that reality. And so when I say everything is made of energy, that is the thoughts in your head. It's the words that come out of your mouth. And so when you say something mean to someone, that's the energy you're putting out there. We're all adults here. We know how the law of attraction works. And so I spend time, because a lot of people just get in the moment. Like I do it too. Like sometimes I'll have moments of frustration and be upset, and so I just like to bring those gentle reminders, right? That life is a miracle. You create your reality. I say that all the time because it's true. I've seen it. I've seen these timelines, and it blows my mind. And again, it's just so strange for me to hear that. I've seen these other dimensions. I've been in these other dimensions, and I've seen what it's like. And you have no idea how beautiful it is. And I've had two really close people to me pass, and after they passed, I had some energetic experiences that even to this day I cannot explain. But it brought me this nirvanic, transcendent sensation that nobody feels on a daily basis. It is otherworldly. And that's why I know that this is true, and I know that this is energy, and everything is energy, and you create your reality. And it's just a different way of saying life is what you make it. That's all it is. We've been saying that for thousands of years. You're the author of your story. And everything is happening right now. And that's the other thing, is the past, present, future, all happening right now. So be in the moment. Live in the moment. Right? And the universe is going to take care of you. That is really, really the driving message of why I do what I do, is expand consciousness, inspire, empower, but also ether, right? We're talking about Plato and his fifth elements, ether, connecting to the ether. I mean, the ether was in the periodic table. It was taken out. There's
Really?
people that, yeah, people wanted that out, and you know why. We all know why. So that's
why? What do you reckon? Yeah, why do they want it taken out?
Well, there are certain forces that just, there's the higher ups, and then there's the higher ups, and then there's the higher ups. Yeah? And so they'll change things. They don't want certain things that, I think that there was a big, talking about the 1550s, right? With the Pluto, when Pluto was in Aquarius back then, that was big. That was a return of ancient wisdom and Greek wisdom and like all of that. There was a revival there, but it was also the big, church stuff. we'll leave it at church stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that there's, and I say, think about it this way. If you were, let's say you were C-suite, right? At a company, really big company, corporate company, you're up there, you make so much money, you got a lot of money, you got a lot of power, you got a lot of control, and you're in a C-suite meeting, yeah, with the CEO, the CTO, you're the CFO, it doesn't matter. The things that you talk about, the changes that you're going to make and implement, do you tell them to those employees down below and those employees down below and those employees? No, you don't. You got your things to do, and then you put it out a different way. And I can tell you this because I have a full-time job and I'm up there, and this is what we do. And so you just can't assume that there are bigger things, bigger people behind the scenes that have a little bit more say in what we study, what we learn. There's a lot of things that are changed before it gets to the public, right? And there's a lot of things that it all comes down to money and power and money and power. But we're starting to see the corruption. And that's one of the reasons why that I think that a lot of people that are fearing these times wait it out. Go to, I don't know, go to the lake house for a year if that's how, you know what I mean? Like, but just don't fear anything. Think again, you're going to see some things. You're going to see some things. And ether, by the way, speaking of ether, I know that I went on a tangent there, but ether is ether, right? So we got air, we got fire, we got earth, we got water, we got ether. When they took ether out of the periodic table, and it wasn't, and here's the thing, ether, this was thousands of years, right? Periodic table, what was that, 1900? So ether, considered the fifth element, right? That's why we have, when you see the five-pointed star, right? That goes all the way back to Mesopotamia times, linked to the vault of heaven, right? The golden spiral, we all know that, right? The golden ratio. And so the ether, when you think about the ether, dark matter, dark energy, it's the same damn thing. And so there's a lot of things that are changed, right? There's a lot of things that are changed, but things are coming back in different ways. But again, like I said, a lot of our history is going to change. And I think that people are going to, it's hard. That's the thing. It's hard to get to a point where, so when I see what I see, I can trust this information. I know where it's coming from. But then when you think about, if you really want to go down a rabbit hole, you know how I said you create your reality, but then we can go really deep and say reality is an illusion. And when you think about 4D and 5D, and that's Albert Einstein, that's Richard Feynman, that's Terence McKenna, that's the Buddha, that's Carl Jung, we can talk about that. We can go down that rabbit hole if you want to, but all I'm saying is that there are some fundamentals in life, and we have to wake up to some of the things that the ancients knew. In any ancient culture, you're going to see a lot of what they saw in their philosophies and what they did. They're all overlapping for a reason, and they didn't even know each other. They were on completely different. You know what I mean?
That stuff fascinates me, and I wonder, like, because I mean, even just some of these ancient civilization discoveries and stuff, Jimmy. Like, it seems like we seem to have lost knowledge. Like, we seem to be gaining a particular type of knowledge, but we seem to have lost another type of knowledge. You see that?
Yeah. And it's so true. And I think that's what was happening with, I call him, his name, I can't pronounce it, but Okros or Orkros from that planet. But even the things that I saw, yes, there's a lot of things that are hidden. And there's a lot of technologies that exist that if I were to say right now, your audience would laugh at me. They would be like, this guy is bonkers. But they exist, and I've seen them. And, even if you were going through my, live streams, I'm at 100% accuracy. I have not been wrong about any of the predictions I've made. For now, again, maybe I'll be wrong, but this is how much I trust the messages that I receive. And the things that I've seen with a lot of the people that are public figures are like, it just, and again, I wouldn't be able to even tell you some of the things because people are not ready. And I know that Maybe in a few months, people will be ready. Maybe in 6 months, people will be ready. But I know that people won't be ready to hear it now because they're going to, I know the reaction. So I just have to sit it out. And that's why I say sometimes my predictions have to be vague. I can say, oh, there's going to be a really big thing that happens here with this world leader. And I got to make facial gestures, just like wink, wink, like those things, right? I have to do that because if I were to say, okay, this person is gonna be unalived on this day and da da da, it's just like, or there's gonna be this big natural disaster in this place at this time. People are gonna freak out, and that's not what I want. That's not what I want. I want people to expand their consciousness, and I want them to know that the world is changing, and there's gonna be a lot of big things. Even like again, some of the things I've seen, like it's just when it happens, there's going to be a number of things that happen, and a lot of the things that are going to be exposed. I just don't know how people are going to react. But the second thing is, I don't know if it will ever be public facing. So that's the other thing. Like I said, a lot of things that I have seen are behind the scenes. And I can give you hints. I can tell you things like, remember back in remember back in the 90s when we cloned the sheep? Dolly? Do you remember that? It was like in 1996. There are these scientists that cloned a sheep. Yeah, you're okay. So first, if that was just nobody reported on that. They were just like, oh, this is done. No one's doing nothing with this. It's been 25 years that they've worked on this. So think about what you can accomplish in 25 years. I will leave it at that, right? You can't assume that just because that stopped, right? It's not. And so a lot of that is also just doing math. I think that this is something that people can just do on their own. Some things are just like obvious. It's like, I don't know. One thing that I like to bring up, because I think this helps people maybe raise their consciousness. I don't know. Maybe not. Well, two things. Well, three things. I mean, well, no, let's stick to one or two. One thing is that when I talk about dimensions, when I talk about like frequencies, there are dimensions that exist that we can't see. There are many dimensions, right? We live in a 3D world, right? We get that. Now, when you think about, let's say, the atomic bomb, right? When they were testing that out in 1945, the first nuclear explosion was in New Mexico, 1945. We all know that happened. What are the chances that it was that location where there was the Roswell crash just 2 years later? So when you set off something like a nuclear bomb that's gonna disrupt the frequencies and the ether and the dimensions, oh yeah, things are gonna come in and out of those dimensions, and some just happen to be caught and crashed, and whatever you want to call it. But that's what I like to say, the oops moment. Like, oops, we got caught, right? Oops. It's like the same thing with ghosts. When you see, I don't know, like a photo where there's a ghost in the back, like those photos, it's like, oops, I got caught in the photo. That is something that, let's do the math. Let's do the math. Same location, right? And it's frequency, it's dimensions, and so there are dimensions all around us. And again, it's there. And even if in Hiroshima, it was it the Foo Fighters? Is that's what they're called? With all the pilots that made all those, they saw all the UAPs. They saw them all. There were things out there. If someone starts knocking on your wall of your home, you're gonna go investigate. So these UAPs, they want to see what's going on outside this dimension. And that's what happened. And there was that crash. But anyway, there's a lot of that, and it is a time where there's gonna be a little bit more. And that's part of me saying, let's raise our frequency, raise our frequency, and expand your consciousness, because even if you just do the math with the astrology, with Uranus moving into Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius, that is like astrology 101 for UAPs. It's all things space. It's communication. It's yeah. So contact. Let's call it contact. But and this is dependent on a number of factors. A number of factors. I feel, based on what I've seen, it does feel near. Okay? However, I did also get a lot of resistance from, let's just say there are some people that like in power that will try to make it not be a thing, if that makes sense. Does that make sense or no?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of things that are hidden from us. And with the fact that, again, remember, it's not only the year of consciousness and the collective. I said earlier, coyote, deception, a lot of deception.
Beginning, deception. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of this Neptune in Aries, a lot of like delusional leaders, delusional ideas. But it's also, there's got to be a little bit of dismantling for us to have that breakthrough.
Inspired souls, lumen beings, what are you taking away from today's episode? Obviously, you've made it thus far, so you're liking this episode. Please don't forget to give it a like and a thumbs up, but also join in on the conversation below. What are you taking away from today's conversations? What are potentially some questions you've got for Jimmy? He's very active on social, so it's likely he may just reply to your questions himself. I can take note of some of those questions and ask him them in the future as well. But also, what are you taking away? The comment section is such a rich space, and watching the guests have conversations with y'all is just a really heartwarming space. So if there's any questions that you've got, any comments, any shares, what are you taking away from today's episode? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, as with Jimmy. All right, back to Jimmy in today's episode. I was going to say, is there a naivety at the beginnings as well? A little bit, like, I don't want to use, yeah, because at the beginning of anything, like you watch, there's usually a naivety, things can be naive. Does Aries carry that frequency or not really?
Oh no, Aries is like, remember Aries is ruled by Mars, so it's the God warrior, and so when you do the math for that, right, with Uranus in Gemini, with Neptune in Aries, God of War, a lot of other things, but it's, remember I just talked about like the American Revolution, the French Revolution, Civil War, things like that. But anyway, no, Aries is definitely the I am, and it's fierce. It's fierce. And that is kind of like I don't know the word. It's there's a little bit of a disconnect with Saturn and Neptune and Aries, because Saturn is all about borders and Neptune's all about dissolving. And so it's going to be very interesting when that happens. What is it? In a month from now. And we are going to have that, but it is definitely fierce. And there is going to be a little bit, if there's the naivete, that's going to come from Neptune, because Neptune, the lower frequencies of Neptune, even though Neptune is compassion and love and music and, gratitude and arts and visual arts, and it's beautiful. Neptune is also illusion, delusion, deception, escapism. It's so there you go. It's like, do you want Gandhi? Do you want Julius Caesar? Right? So there is a lot of deception that's happening, and people are just falling for it. And that's why it's like, let's wake up. Let's wake up. Can we all wake up together? When there's a government official that says we're gonna release the JFK files for everybody, you think they're gonna really give you all the pages? Come on, let's wake up, please. Let's wake up, please. Right? When they say they're gonna release bigger files that people have been waiting for, come on. So there's a lot of things, and here's the silver lining. And this is why you just have to have faith and you have to trust things are happening. Again, sometimes you have to go through the hard way to have that breakthrough. We're going to go through the hard way. And everything that's happening now, because even though it's the year of the Great Awakening and the Age of Ascension, it's also the year of the Great Collapse. I'm calling it the Great Collapse because, again, things have to break down, right? For us to have that breakthrough. And all the signs are pointing that way. And right now, we're in a place where we need new leaders. We need new leaders, not only in politics, everywhere. Corporations, it doesn't even matter, school districts, it doesn't matter. That's what's really great about Saturn moving into Aries. I think that's going to be really strong. Again, that is strong energy. Saturn's like old bones too. And, I'm not going to get too much into it, but when we move into this Aries energy, when we pass that 0 degrees Aries point, Saturn is already like, listen, you need to leave these old systems, old structures, old patterns, old habits, everything. You gotta leave that in the past. I'm entering a new house. I'm coming with my girlfriend. We got Sirius with us. There's a lot of new energy because you also have Pluto in Aquarius. You also have Uranus in Gemini, Jupiter exalted in Cancer. When we get to June, right? And so so what I've been saying is from January 2025, the energy, all right, this is high frequency. This is low frequency. When we enter 2025, January 25, we were here. And in February, we were here. And then in March, we were here. And then in April, we were here. And then May, we went a little bit more. And then June, oh, things are great. July, whoosh, it's going to be some big changes. And so no matter what happens, trust in the universe. Find that source of strength, wherever you find that strength. Okay? There's got to be, and it's financial, it's political, it's economical, it's geophysical. And again, my dog can tell you that. My dog can tell you all these changes are happening and all of this. And if you are not aware, if you are just, you've got to be awake. You have to be awake. It is the Great Awakening. And Uranus is the Great Awakener. And so Uranus brings change and revolution and evolution, but the unexpected as well. And there's breakthroughs because Uranus is a ruler for Aquarius. And so there's a lot happening that it's like I could be here with you for 5 hours telling you everything that the fact that, Saturn, Neptune, sextile, Pluto, like there's just so many other aspects that are happening with the aspects. The fact that you've got Sedna moved into Gemini at the same time that Uranus is moving to Gemini. That's a whole other thing. That's true consciousness, and Sedna is fierce. So there's a lot, and that's another thing that I think is going to change is astrology. I think that a lot of people right now don't really use asteroids and planetoids, and with my forecasts and my readings, I do a separate spread where I talk about the lunations, because the lunations, when you talk about the moon, that you have weeks where the lunations are stronger and more powerful than the planetary aspects. I mean, I can tell you about Mercury square Mars. I can tell you about whatever, but there's got to be lunations where you got the moon conjuncting Pluto or the moon conjuncting Jupiter, whatever it is, that it's bigger. But again, everybody has a different birth chart, so it's very different. But don't discount the moon. Don't discount the moon. And that's what I say because here's the thing, moon is emotions. We know that. That's just baseline. But it's more than that. It's the subconscious. It's your feelings. It's your mother. It's your relationships, home, family, all of that. Now, I got to remind you that the moon is just a rock. That's all it is. It reflects the light from the sun. And when you think about the moon, it has this huge impact on our ocean tides. We're made of 60% of water. We got 60% of water in our bodies. You don't think the moon affects us? So it has an impact on us as much as the sun, as much as a lot of other things. And but asteroids, planetoids, I feel it's got to be a bigger thing. And that's what I do in the second spreads is I talk about the asteroids and planetoids. I talk about Juno linked to Libra. I talk about even I'm a Virgo moon. And so I will do this to, just for context in my readings, whenever because we have the South Node in Virgo right now, right? And it just moved in there. So it's right at that degree. I've got actually Neptune opposite my moon. That's a whole other story. But that I show them what happens to me when we have a new moon, when we have a full moon, when we have the moon conjuncting the South Node, when it is, squaring Mercury, whatever it is, I show them. I tell them, look, this is what happened. This is what happened. So check your moon. Check your moon. Because how you're feeling, sometimes you don't get that from your rising. Sometimes you don't get that from your sun. In fact, if you're watching for your sun sign, it's not about you all the time. That's not about you all the time. That's a rising. Moon is definitely your feeling, but sometimes the moon is your mother, right? Mm-hmm. Saturn, your father. So there's, and again, there's a lot that we can talk about, but it's the tarot. And that's the one thing that, the one last thing that I got to tell you about the tarot. Yeah, sorry. I've been like, whoa.
You're in flow. I love it. Go. Yeah.
I told you I could. Well, I'm a 0-degree Gemini rising. And so just if your audience doesn't know what that means is that when you're 0 degree, 0 degrees embodies the traits of that sign. And as we know, Geminis are the, right? But I'm also Aquarius rising. Or I'm sorry, Aquarius rising. I'm an Aquarius Gemini rising. That's double arrow. You throw in my Virgo moon, Virgo being very analytical. So but I can talk. Now, here's the thing that I just real quickly about tarot is that tarot is amazing. And the one thing about tarot, it's the same thing as, astrology. How does any of it work? We don't know. You go to any astrologer, any of the great ones, the ones that's been doing it for 40, 50 years, no one can tell you. That's what divination is, right? So same thing with tarot. It's been 600 years, 700 years, 14 centuries when it was it really got going. Why would we still be doing it if it didn't work? And so the great thing about tarot that not a lot of people know is that all the cards are assigned an aspect or a planet or there's something with astrology. So I really merged tarot with astrology, and oh my goodness, it's like the dessert, because what I do is I give you your astrological overview for your sign, then I do your tarot spread. It's the dessert, and then you see how everything actually just aligns with the astrology, and it's just mind-blowing to me too. And astrology really, it's math basically, right? Pattern recognition, okay? But there really is something so amazing about it when you put the two together. And what I love about what I do is that, again, nobody else does this that I know of, but I've got 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds who've never heard of they don't know what rising sign is. They don't know. And so that's why I have to make the astrology pretty, just very comprehensive. So everyone can take away from it, because it excites me that people who love tarot readings are being introduced to astrology and finding this love for astrology, and the other way around. People who only watch astrology, now they're learning tarot. They're like, oh my goodness, this is so accurate. And that's what makes the readings a little bit more accurate than than like an astrology reading or just a tarot reading alone. When you merge the two, it makes magic happen. And it's so amazing. And I have a lot of people that come to my channel that are tarot readers, that are, trying to learn astrology so they can learn. And nothing is more gratifying when I know that they're taking something away from that, because I want them to. I want them to know how to do this. And it's just a beautiful thing. And that's what divination is, right? And it is divination that makes us human too. It is compassion. It is creativity. It's all of this. It's expanding your consciousness for the greater good. For the greater good. Remember, Gandhi, Julius Caesar. Which one do you want, right? For the greater good. All right?
Oh, Jimmy. Wow. I mean, the divination, I mean, thank you so much for I love the way you sort of brought it home to that. Yeah, just the divine nature of, I guess, us and the world we live in and how we're navigating all of this. And it just seems so interesting to be here at this particular moment in time, and just the shifts that are coming our way. Brother, thank you so much for sharing yourself so abundantly here with us today. Such a blessing to receive. I know people are going to take away so much from this. The best way to reach out to you to find out more about Jimmy and what's going on in the world of Jimmy?
I would say my YouTube channel, which is it's Jimmy, or blah, blah, blah. It's the Tarot Ship. That's all it is. And then I'm on believe it or not, every social media platform. It's just the Tarot Ship. And I need to be better at social media, but I'm on Instagram more than anything. I do have a website too. I'm not doing personal readings right now. I booked up. I remember I have a full-time job. I have, my dog that I'm taking care of. That's a full-time job. I got this. It takes a little bit longer than. So it's just really a matter of time. And one day I will go back to doing private readings, personal readings, because you get everything. You get me doing a little bit of a psychic reading for you. You get me going through your birth chart, and then you get me doing your tarot reading. So it's actually really fun. I have a lot of fun, and I love meeting people. I love doing what I do. I'm very passionate about it. I think if you saw my videos, you see I'm very passionate about what I do. And I didn't even give you a chance to ask me any questions. I feel so...
No, you've been amazing. You've covered so much amazing ground in this podcast. Thank you so much. And I think that's, it speaks volumes to, just how much... just how passionate you are, and on your channel. I mean, every time I tune in, the amount of ground that gets covered, even in a 10, 15-minute video, is phenomenal. So, once again, Jimmy, I'll put links to all of that in the show notes in the description below for everybody tuning in. And brother, I mean, thank you so much for today's conversation, but also, I mean, this is your life's work. I can't even call it your life's work. This is your life. And thank you so much for you.
Well, thank you for you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love what you're doing. Listen, what you're doing is so profound, because we're at a time where what we do, right? When you didn't see this 10 years ago, we couldn't do this 10 years ago. Look at how far we've come. And it's because of you. It's because of you. Because you were giving people that work in this industry this platform to speak and to help people and to inspire people. So it's you. It's you. You're doing wonders here. You're doing absolutely wonderful. Just and I want that to be a big takeaway from you, from me. I want you to take that away. That a lot of what's been spread out here, it's because you've been offering that platform. So your service to others, your sense of providing for the greater good. It's just beyond. So you are absolutely amazing. You are absolutely amazing.
Touch wood.
And any way that I can help and support you, I am there for you because we need more of this. I really appreciate you and I really appreciate what you do.
Oh, thank you so much, Brother Bear. That means a lot. It's a lot to receive, and I will try to take it one bite at a time. Oh, man. Till next time, we'll stay in touch.
Amrit, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on your show, and we will be in touch. And I can't wait to see all your content that you put out. You're doing amazing. I again, love what you do. You're one of the originals. You know that. You know that. You're one of the originals.
Keep me humble. You inspired soul lumen beings, you made it to the end of another really incredible episode. Thank you so much for your inspiration to evolve. It is such an honor to be your brother, walking this path by your side. Now, you obviously made it all the way through to the end of this video, so you have liked it. So please do give it a like and a thumbs up. It really helps with everything we're doing here. And to all of you that are now subscribed to the channel, I mean, thank you so much for your incredible love and support. Everything you see around here, like I like to say, is powered and empowered by your subscription to this channel. Thank you so much for your support. To all of you that haven't yet subscribed, please do take a moment. Join the movement, help us champion love, positivity, and wisdom like this around the planet together. As I'm saying the word subscribe, the button below is lighting up in the colors of the Inspired Evolution. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon. Thank you so much in advance for doing so. And on screen now, for you to take your Inspired Evolution journey onwards, upwards, and inwards even further, another episode for you to dive in even deeper on your makeup. So take your pick, make your click, go on. I'll see you in there.